After creating my What Happened to Ray William Johnson video, I received a lot of comments asking me why I didn't bring up the Your Favorite Martian project. And they had a very good point there. There is a lot of stuff to discuss on that secondary Ray William Johnson account. So today I want to spend a little bit of time discussing Ray's very short stint in the music business. For those of you who don't know, Your Favorite Martian was a collaboration between Ray William Johnson and Maker Studios to create a comedic cartoon band on YouTube. I was one of the first people to subscribe to this new account, and this was in the brief period of time when I watched =3, and seeing some comedic music videos with decent production value was actually really novel in 2011. And there were plenty of other people just like me which helped make this new project a hit right out of the gate. So what was some of this amazing content that made this new channel a hit right from the very beginning? Well, the first video that they released was called My Balls.
Check it out, baby girl, you left me. Oh no, we broke up, and it's been a while since we last spoke, but I need another chance, can you give me that? Cause there's something in my pants, I could win you back. I wanna be your man again, but you left me like I'm Jennifer Aniston, and I know you said you never call, but girl, you ain't seen my balls. 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 You ain't seen my balls.
Looking back now, this content was very childish in nature, but at that point in online video history, it was a big success. Honestly, there was just a lot less to watch back in the day, and anything with some production value and talent behind it could gain traction on YouTube in 2011. And also, not everything the channel put out was that bad, even by today's standards. You had hits such as Orphan Tears, which tells the story of Ray going to a bar and drinking a strange beverage that caused him to hallucinate.
I don't believe it, I'm gonna be seasick. These orphan tears are about to make me trip. Little children near and far don't know where your parents are. Cry directly in this jar, I will drink it at the bar. Sippin' on orphan tears, sippin' on orphan tears, sippin' on orphan tears.
For what it was, a lot of this music was pretty catchy, although I do remember it being a little bit more refined back in the day. Looking at it now, it's clear that these weren't industry professionals creating these songs. At the beginning, this channel was a massive hit, with it getting tons of views on every single upload. This was at a point in Ray William Johnson's career where =3 was at the height of popularity, and everything he touched seemed to turn gold. And this included Your Favorite Martian. Well, at least at the beginning. About halfway through this project, which also coincides for when I lost interest, they decided to change things up quite a bit. First and foremost, they changed the character design, and while it's fair to say that the update looked less amateur, many people had already gotten used to how the character design previously was. The other substantial change was that Ray decided to start making covers of other people's popular songs. And I was never a fan of this, thinking it was a bad move. Even to fans of Your Favorite Martian, a strong point of the music was never Ray's singing or rapping ability. In fact, I'd argue that Ray is simply not a good singer in general, which is okay for comedic songs. But why on earth would I want to listen to him cover serious music?
Love it, wait, where you going? I'm leaving you. No, you ain't, come back, we're running right back. Here we go again, it's so insane, cause when it's going good, it's going great. I'm Superman with the wind at his back. She's Lois Lane, but when it's bad, it's awful. I feel so ashamed, I snap. Who's that dude? I don't even know his name. I laid hands on her, I'll never stoop so low again. I guess that I don't know my own strength.
While I never got why he did this back in the day, looking at it now, I kind of understand. It takes a lot of work to make original comedic songs on YouTube, especially if you want them to be funny. So having these covers in between his original content made for good filler. Even when they started doing these music covers, they still received millions of views an episode, but they were never able to regain the traction that they had right from the very beginning. Some of their early videos received over 30 million views, and a lot of their later content couldn't even get 1/10 that. In just a year, it appeared that Your Favorite Martian was already beginning to slip. The music covers had caused people to unsubscribe like me, and the excitement from the early days was gone for most that decided to stick around. It went from being one of the biggest channels on YouTube to one that looked like it was about to slow down. But that's not what killed Ray's music career. Unlike other channels that fell off the map because people stopped watching, the interesting thing about Your Favorite Martian is that it was discontinued very abruptly at the end of 2012, with the channel's name being changed to This Project is Retired. But why though? The music video still pulled in good numbers, and on top of that, they had music sales on iTunes to bring in extra cash. Well, let me tell you a brief version of what happened to this animated band. At the time, Ray was partnered with Maker Studios, who he collaborated with to create Your Favorite Martian. Unfortunately, as it usually goes with YouTube networks, they eventually tried to intimidate him into signing a new terrible contract that would give them more money as well as an ownership stake in Equals 3. Thankfully, Ray didn't allow them to rip him off, but Maker was so irate that they couldn't take advantage of him anymore that they shut down Your Favorite Martian, since it was a collaboration between both parties. Now you may be saying to yourself that my summary of that story sounds very biased, but please look into it for yourself. It's pretty black and white, at least in my opinion. YouTube networks are notorious for trying to rip people off in many ways, including this one. Actually, Ray William Johnson versus Maker Studios may be the most popular example of a situation like this. The biggest shame about the entire situation is that Ray did not even have to work with Maker Studios on this project. He was making so much money back in the day that he could have funded it all himself. But Maker Studios probably approached him and said that they'd bankroll any project he had, and he agreed to this deal, which ended up being the demise of this channel. Musicians and entrepreneurs often get caught in very similar situations. A big company or rich person will give them a ton of money in exchange for control of their operation, and then all of a sudden something like this happens. With all this drama, many people have wondered what would have happened to Your Favorite Martian if they didn't get shut down. Would they have become one of the biggest bands in the entire world, selling out arenas and topping the charts? Well, no. Since no one can predict the future, it's actually hard to say what would have really happened to Your Favorite Martian if they didn't get shut down. But my best guess is that they would have kept on going on for a few more years with less and less people watching every single time they put out a new video, until the revenue would be brought to a point that they could no longer cover the cost of the musicians and animators needed to make the videos. In other words, it would have probably died a slow and painful death. Looking at it that way kind of makes you wonder if it was a blessing in disguise to end the series on a high note. Hello everybody, and thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. It's really appreciated. As for the question of the day, somebody wants to know my opinions on Jake Paul and if he's going to lose relevance soon. And that's actually a really good question. I may make a full video about this at some point, but my guess is that Jake Paul is going to hold on to a decent amount of fame for a pretty long time. Is he still going to be the biggest person on all of YouTube in 5 years? No, but the fact that his channel is just so big and expands to multiple social media platforms makes me believe that he's going to continue to make really good money for quite some time. Actually, if you go into Social Blade right now, it is pretty clear that he is on a downward slope. But to be fair, there's nobody that's able to sustain those sort of views with the content he's making. The idea that you're going to continue to get 500 million views a month and you're not something like a child's channel or maybe a music channel is next to impossible. It has never been done on YouTube, and I don't think it will in the future, since things are a lot more fragmented now than they were even a few years ago, with a lot more niche content for people to watch. So yeah, I think Jake Paul will continue to go down from the numbers we're seeing right here, but you have to realize that's still making millions of dollars a year, even if he does decline more. The craziest thing about Jake Paul that everyone should appreciate is that 10 years ago, the big child stars always came from the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, but now you have them coming up directly through the internet on YouTube, and Jake Paul is the biggest example of this. Back in the day, you had the Jonas Brothers or Hannah Montana that would become popular because they were pushed by a big corporation. But now Jake Paul on his very own has become the biggest thing with young people. The problem is when you have a very young fan base like Jake Paul, they have a very good chance of growing out of you, and then you just start to decline very quickly, especially with daily uploads on YouTube. I know the big advice is that you should do daily uploads to get really big on this website, but in all honesty, while yes, you could grow very quickly if you do daily uploads, on the other hand, if you do make that much content, you have a lot of subscriber burnout, more so than other channels that may post weekly. So there are a lot of things to consider, and at this point, it's all up in the air. How famous will Jake Paul be in a year? I don't know. Let me know in the comments your opinion on it, because I don't see him falling off the map completely for any time in the near future. So anyway guys, I'm going to wrap up the video right here, and until next time, thanks for watching.